Good morning, everyone. This is Lisa Thomas at Optimizely, joined by Evan Weiss, our Partner Solutions Engineer here at Optimizely. We're very excited to be partners with Disruptive and to bring you guys today a demo of what Optimizely and optimization and personalization can do for your business.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for being here. Lisa and Evan, where are you guys calling in from today?
We're here in San Francisco.
Fantastic. This is Andrea Warner, by the way, and welcome to Disruptive Marketing Lab's quick class. And today what we're going to do is we're going to show you how you can make more sales from traffic that you're already getting. I've been involved with digital marketing for a long time, and I luckily, thankfully, learned early on the value of conversion testing. And it's simple. You're already paying for customers. With conversion testing, you can get more value from traffic that you're already paying to get. So now I want you to know something. We're not an affiliate for Optimizely. We use them. We're tool agnostic. We have no financial interest in this presentation today. We really just want to know what is the big deal about Optimizely. So Evan and Lisa, tell us why you're such a big deal.
Great, thank you. So you're probably wondering why I'm showing you a photo of goldfish when you thought you were going to be on a demo for Optimizely. And that's because I'm going to take a couple minutes and just tell you why experience optimization, testing, and personalization matter. It matters because your customer's attention span is less than that of a goldfish, according to a recent study published by Microsoft. And for that reason, it's really important that when you get a customer to your site or to one of your digital devices, that you give them a very personal, optimized, and very relevant experience. In fact, according to Gartner, 89% of companies believe that customer experience will be their primary basis for competition by 2016. So not price, not product, but customer experience. That said, marketers know that they need to be optimizing, and as Andrea said, optimizing takes advantage of the money you're already spending to get to your site. However, for every 92 marketing dollars spent on driving traffic to that site, only $1 is spent on optimizing. So that opens up a tremendous opportunity for each of you to bridge that gap.
Wow.
Yeah, and for a long time, experience optimization has been the domain of a very few multi-billion-dollar organizations. Companies like Amazon, Netflix, Priceline have all competed on the basis of experience optimization in the battle for customer attention. With that, though, they've dedicated millions of dollars, hundreds of engineers to solving this problem. Now, chances are you don't have the bank account of Amazon, Netflix, and Priceline, and so that's why Optimizely was created. We created Optimizely to help companies like you turn data into action very easily and powerfully. So Optimizely has come in and we've really democratized optimization. We now work with 6,000 plus enterprise customers like you guys to help them transform their online businesses. And over the years, our growth, Optimizely's growth, really speaks for itself. We're backed by top investors like Andreessen Horowitz, Google Ventures, Benchmark, and we put all of that funding towards our product roadmap and building out our platform. So we really are a leader in the space, and excited to be here today to show you what Optimizely looks like under the hood. So with that, I would love to introduce Evan, who is a partner sales engineer here at Optimizely. He helps partners like Disruptive build out their optimization practices. And today he'll be showing you guys just how powerful Optimizely is.
Thanks, everyone.
Fantastic.
So that's right, my name is Evan, Partner Solutions Engineer, and what I'd like to talk about today is just a really quick demonstration of what Optimizely can do. We have a bunch of different tools, and we're very excited to announce a bunch of new ones coming up here at our OptiCon conference. Hopefully you can tune in for a live stream of that coming up in a week or so. But the main focus with Optimizely, right, is using data that you have about your customers to improve their experience on the web. And again, the reason we're doing this activity, as we talked about at the top of the call, is to make better use of those marketing dollars you're already spending, getting customers to the site, and make sure that they're actually completing the goals that you have for them on the site. So optimizing a conversion sounds pretty complicated, but really is simple as increasing the rate that customers do a particular thing. This could be viewing products, could be adding products to their carts, could be reading an article, could be making a purchase. Whatever is a key metric or a key touch point for your business, we can optimize for it. Now, the first step in the journey to creating an optimized website is to run some experiments to figure out what is the best content to deploy. So I'm going to show a quick example of what an experiment looks like in Optimizely. So here we are in the new Optimizely X interface. And what I'm going to show is the process for creating an experiment. So in an experiment, the goal is to test a couple of different content, different layouts against each other to figure out which one creates that lift for us in our conversion rate. So this time I'm going to run an experiment on the home page, and I'm going to do, let's do some text testing. And the first thing I'm going to do is tell Optimizely where I want to deploy the experiment. So in this case, we're going to do it on the home page. Optionally, I can target this experiment to a particular group of visitors. In this case, I'm not going to do that. We're just going to deploy this experiment to all of our visitors.
Okay, really quickly though, we could target, so like if people are coming from Facebook, we can target them with a specific message. Like I've done testing in the past where if people are coming from Facebook, we would add some subtle Facebook blue to the page.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, that's core to experience optimization, is not only testing to figure out what the best common denominator experience is, but starting to go one step further in personalizing the experience. And in fact, that's the whole thrust of our second product, personalization.
Great.
So at this point, we're just going to stick with our everyone targeting. We're going to tell Optimizely if there's some key metrics that we're optimizing for. That's how we're going to judge the success of this experiment. So in this case, my goal is to get visitors to add more products to their cart. And secondarily, I want to see an improvement in overall revenue. The last step is to name my variation. So I'm going to have my original version of the site. The variation I'm going to deploy is, let's do something, for example, related to seasonal messaging. So we're coming into the fall season here. And I can tell Optimizely how I want to split my traffic. So the default here is going to be to split the traffic evenly between the original and the variation. And the reason we're going to do this is so we can track our conversions in both of those versions of the site, compare them against each other, and figure out which one created the lift that we're looking for. So once we've created our test, the next step is to actually make some changes to the page. And we're going to do this in the visual editing interface. So what I'm going to do now is open up the home page. And in this case, I'm going to be doing some testing on my very own e-commerce retail site, Attic and Button. And again, I said I wanted to make some changes that were seasonally appropriate. You can see we've already got gear for fall. But stylish new looks, this might not actually be appropriate for our shoppers that are interested in some clothing that might be fall appropriate. So you know, stay warm and toasty this season. And we could even make some changes to our call to action button. So we're going to go ahead and save this change. And maybe we're going to go ahead and modify call to action text, because we know this is very important for getting folks into the shopping funnel. So we'll say shop for fall styles. The last thing we need to do before this thing goes live to the world is simply just to start the experiment. So we click Start. This is going to publish the experiment live on the home page. And just like that, we're going to start to see data coming in telling us if this messaging is actually helping to get visitors into the shopping funnel, adding more products to their cart.
Wait, okay, so hang on, Evan. So tell people at what point they have to get their programmers and their coders and their web dev team. At what point do they need to get those people involved in order to make this test live?
Yeah, great question. So when you're implementing Optimizely for the first time, there's a single line of code that you're going to need your developers to add to the website. You can see that here under the implementation settings. And essentially, this HTML is just referencing a static JavaScript file that Optimizely hosts in our CDN. And it's deployed to any visitors that load the site. And all the logic that we need to target visitors, to modify the page, to collect their conversions, and to do the results analysis, it's all contained in this file. So as soon as this HTML is out of the page, we can now go ahead and start launching our experiments to the world.
Okay, and I'm trying to set you up here. For every test, do we need programmers and designers and people to help us launch tests?
Yeah, so it depends on the complexity of the changes you want to make as part of the experiment. So if the goal is to do some simple content testing, maybe some text testing like I just showed in this example, that's something you should be able to do pretty much on your own. Wouldn't need a lot of involvement from your developers. When you get to the meatier tests, so this could be experiments that are going to be changing the overall layout of the page, could be changing the flow of the checkout, for example. These are things where you are going to want to have developers involved. And to put a plug in here for our solutions partners, if those resources are something you might have difficulty lining up internally, we have a lot of really fantastic partners we work with that can do those services for you as well.
Great.
So again, the goal with an A/B test, like the one we just showed here, is to get some results, to understand what the impact of these changes were on those key metrics that we're tracking. And I'm going to show you really quickly an example results page that shows exactly the kind of information we might get back. So we'll take a look at a sample retail results page. And what we're looking at here essentially is we're looking at a couple of variations. So in this case, you can see I ran an experiment that had two variations. I had a pop-up sign-up menu and an inline sign-up. And I've got a couple of key metrics that I was tracking. So for example, looking at visitors completing member sign-up, completing a purchase, adding to cart. And Optimizely is going to collect conversions on all of these key events that we've told it about and do a calculation to show us what the improvement was on these metrics for visitors who were exposed to these different variations. So for example, I can see in this results page here that visitors who were exposed to the pop-up variation, they saw a nice lift in membership sign-up rates. That's about a 1.9% lift in conversion rates. But we actually saw some negative impacts to conversion rates for purchases, add to cart, and revenue. So we know that we're not actually going to want to deploy this change to the site. Whereas if we look at the inline sign-up variation, we can see that membership sign-ups are up, as is total revenue. So we might want to actually modify our sign-up flow to use this inline sign-up method. And this is going to be applicable to any of those experiments that you're running through the platform.
That's fantastic. Is it possible to change the significance level? Like we typically like to have 95% significance. Can we adjust that so that it only shows up green if we do that?
Yeah, absolutely. So the defaults were going to be for significance. I believe we set those at 90% now. But you also have the ability to set them up past 90%. So in your case, 95%, and go ahead and save that change. And that's simply going to change, at what color the boxes turn green or red on that on the results page.
That's a beautiful dashboard. I really love it.
Thank you. Yeah, you're actually getting a sneak preview of the new Optimizely X web testing platform. This is something that we've been working on for the past year. We're getting ready to announce at our big user conference called Opticon, which is coming up in just a couple of weeks here.
Fantastic.
So again, the reason why all this stat stuff is important, right, significance levels and the data we're collecting, is because the whole goal of our testing program is to produce data that helps us make better decisions about the experiences we're deploying on the web. So in the example I showed, which text is the best. In the example for the results we're looking at here, which sign-up method is the best. This is how we're going to make decisions when we go forward and make changes to the site, rather than simply relying on instincts. This is a much better way, a proven way to get some return on our investment in this platform. So the next step in this sort of activity, right, is that we run our A/B test, and maybe we find, for example, that we actually have some visitors that respond differently based on their attributes. So for example, let's take a look at visitors who are coming from a particular ad campaign. So rather than just looking at all our visitors, what about folks that are coming from our seasonal sale? They behave any differently. Or visitors who came to a new merchandise, they behave differently. And you can see that for this campaign, our results are actually pretty similar based on the campaigns the visitors are coming from. I'm going to show you a results page where we should be able to see some differentiation. So for example, taking a look at results for an experiment we ran for media and social sharing, you can see that in this example, variation 1 is a clear winner when we look across all of our visitors. But if we look specifically at the reader profile, we might find that visitors who prefer technology actually perform very differently than our overall traffic. Or maybe visitors who prefer business perform differently as well. And what this suggests is that we actually have more work to do, simply updating the website to have a single one-size-fits-all experience based on our A/B test results isn't going to be sufficient to capture the lift that we're looking for. And this suggests that we need to go a step further and start to personalize the website. And this is something that you alluded to a little bit earlier, which is to use those audience targeting capabilities to target a specific experience to a specific group of visitors. And that's where this new personalization product comes into play. So what I want to show really quickly is an example of personalization running live on the Attic and Button website. And the goal of this personalization campaign is to leverage the learnings from A/B testing to personalize the hero image, the headline, the call to action text based on behavioral information we have about visitors. So in this case, we're going to be pulling in information about the products they viewed to give them a better experience on the homepage and hopefully increase their purchase rate. So heading back over to the Attic and Button website, let's pretend that I'm coming to the site as a brand new visitor. This is the first time I've ever engaged with the site. And as I'm browsing around, Optimizely is going to start to collect information about my browsing habits. So for example, maybe I'm viewing some bags. Looks like I've got some interest in bag purchasing. And once I navigate back to the home page, you can see that Optimizely has actually updated the messaging. And you can see not only am I seeing some personalization of the homepage hero image, but I'm also in my experiment for this fall campaign. So you can see my new fall styles deployed right here on the homepage. Now maybe the next step in my buyer's journey is it turns out, bags weren't actually my thing. Now it turns out I'm actually interested in hats. And as I'm viewing those hats again, Optimizely can track that behavior and make some changes to the hero image again. So now showing some awesome hats straight from the runway. And finally, in my buyer's journey, let's say that I actually get to the point of adding an item to my cart, but not actually making a purchase. So now I'm in a cart abandoner audience. And one more time, Optimizely can do some additional personalization. You might say, well, what's going on here? We're not seeing any changes to the homepage. We can actually do something like injecting an exit intent modal and giving our high-value cart abandoners an offer to come back and complete their purchase. So this is an example of how we can leverage data about our customers and their behaviors to do some pretty advanced personalization, updating the site experience to encourage me to complete my purchases. And again, that's something we can define right here in the Optimizely interface. So I showed you first what it looks like to build an A/B test in Optimizely. This is what it looks like to build a personalization campaign. And in Optimizely language, we define a personalization campaign as a series of experiences, each one targeted to a specific audience. So if we take a look at our audience settings for the campaign, we can see exactly how these audiences are defined. So for example, here is my audience of high-value buyers. I can take a look at those criteria that I set up previously, and you can see the way that I'm defining my high-value buyers is visitors who added an item to their cart where the price of that product was greater than $90. And this is information that we can collect right out of the box directly in the Optimizely platform. Now,
that is so interesting. So, sorry, Evan, with other places like Facebook advertising, for example, they have segments of high-value buyers that are based on essentially big data. And but what we can do here is create our own segment of high-value buyers based on their actual actions with our website.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So there's many ways we can pull in data here. And certainly, if you're running ads on Facebook, we have the ability to target based on ad groups that a visitor might be in. But in the case where you've got an anonymous visitor who's coming direct to the site, we also want to give you easy tools to collect information about the stuff that they're doing and their interactions so we can personalize for them right off the bat. So a quick preview of how we might collect this information. This is a view of the implementation mode where I'm actually telling Optimizely information about my site. So I'm telling Optimizely, hey, when a visitor hits the product detail page, there's a couple of key pieces of information that I want to collect about that page. So for example, I can collect the category of the item they're viewing simply by clicking on this breadcrumb, telling Optimizely this is a product category, and then we'll start to collect that data for anybody who visits the page. And similarly, we can collect that information for things like the price of the item. And this is exactly how I was defining my high-value buyers, is that people were clicking the Add to Cart button on pages where the value of the item was more than $90. So really, really easy to get started here. Of course, if you have access to that big data style approach, we have tools for ingesting that information as well. But behavioral targeting through Optimizely is super easy to get started with this visual interface.
That is fantastic.
So the last step in the process here, once we define those visitors that we want to target with the different personalized experiences, is to actually build those experiences out in the interface. And you can see what we're doing here is we've actually combined the concept of A/B testing with personalization. So I've got my three audiences: high-value buyers, bag affinity, and hat affinity. And for each of these audiences, I've defined several variations. So when I went through this flow, I got into the stylish variation for bag affinity visitors. And you can see what this looks like in the interface here. Again, I've got a visual interface for changing out these images. This is what that looks like. I can click on the hero image. I've got a tool here for changing out the background image. And I can either specify a new URL for the image or simply just upload it, and Optimizely will take care of hosting it. But I could just as easily have made it into the outdoorsy variation. And that's going to have different messaging and a different image background. And what this allows us to do is to move past the idea of an A/B test that's deployed to 100% of our traffic. We can now start to segment out that traffic and test to figure out what the optimal personalized content is for each of those key segments. And the last really awesome thing that we can show here, this is a very important thing for personalization. When you have a tool like this where you can start to drill down and get very deep on the kinds of targeting that you're doing, the inclination might be to start targeting segments of visitors that are extremely granular, but actually represent a very small percentage of your traffic. So you can imagine targeting visitors who viewed at least 3 product detail pages and added at least 1 bag to their cart, and also added at least 1 hat to their cart, and made 1 purchase that was greater than $100. That might be an interesting segment for you, but if it represents 0.1% of your traffic, then you might be better served by targeting a larger segment to make sure you're capturing lift on the site as a whole. And the way Optimizely is going to help you avoid making that mistake is by showing you the reach of your audience. This is the percentage of visitors that actually fall into this category right here on the campaign page. So you can see that my high value buyers represent 36% of my audience. Bag affinity and hat affinity are each 22%. That means that I'm going to be well served by targeting these visitors with a personalized experience. So this is, I know, a whirlwind tour, lots of functionality to dig into here, but hopefully you're getting a sense of some of the ways you can get started to do some simple split testing and experimentation in the platform, and then take that to the next level to actually change the user experience based on data that you have about customers to get to that best common experience for each segment.
Evan, can you take a quick question?
Absolutely.
Okay, Jeff is asking, for people new to conversion testing, where should they start?
Yeah, great question. So I know it can be overwhelming when you get started, especially with a platform that's as full-featured as Optimizely. The place that we see people getting the most success right off the bat is to start with those simple A/B tests that I showed off at the beginning of the demo. So this is stuff where maybe you have some long-standing questions about your site experience. How often have you been in a room with marketers and developers and product people where the goal is to change some aspect of the experience? Maybe it's to update the copy or the imagery on the homepage. Everyone has an opinion. How do you make the decision? A/B testing is a great way to get started with that, to make those changes and let the data tell you what the right experience is. It's only once you've got mature in A/B testing that you're probably going to want to move on to the personalization that I showed you. So don't get overwhelmed. It's very easy to start with testing and grow into personalization over the long term of your program.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely. Any other questions coming in? I know I'm not seeing necessarily the notes coming in the moderator tool.
Not quite, not yet. So you can keep
right.
going, or are we going to turn it back to Lisa?
Yeah, the last thing I want to show is just a brief overview of what the results look like for a personalization campaign. So a little bit different from A/B testing, where the goal of the experiment is to generate data. So again, quick recap, looking at data, looking at conversion rates, looking at measures of statistical significance. This is all about research and getting the data to make better decisions. When it comes to personalization, the goal is to capture the most lift possible from these personalized flows and experiences that we're deploying. And what this means is that we're going to have a little bit different layout for the results page. So I'm going to show you what that looks like. But really quick before we get there, just want to show how these test variations become personalization campaigns. So this is a schematic that shows a campaign that I built out for you on the fly here. We have two audiences, hat affinity and bag affinity. We've also got multiple variations for each of these audiences. And what we're going to see as we look at our results is that we've got winning variations. So we can look at the conversion rates. We can see that, for example, our pool variation got a 7% add to cart conversion rate. Our stylish variation got a 5% add to cart conversion rate. What we can start to do now is change our traffic allocations, deploy 100% of our hat audience to the winning pool variation, 100% of our bag audience to the winning stylish variation, combine those together, and this is our new homepage affinity campaign. This is really the outcome of all this testing and personalizing that we're doing, is getting to one of these experiences. And the way we're going to understand that is by looking at test results and personalized campaign results. So this is a preview of personalization campaign. And what we can look at here is overall improvement for the campaign. What this represents is the overall uplift on our primary metric. In this case, we've chosen overall revenue. Overall uplift that's resulted from personalizing this part of our website. So it's going to compare conversions for visitors that didn't see personalization to conversions for visitors who were in the campaign, and give us that roll-up metric that helps us understand what was the value that we captured from this personalization campaign. We're also going to break down those metrics for each of the individual audiences and their experiences. So for example, this campaign is targeting visitors coming from several different industries. This is something you'd be able to do with an integration that we offer for a third-party tool called DemandBase. And with this information, we can segment our traffic out into different industries and target them with specific messaging. What we can do is look at these campaign metrics to understand if we're getting lifts for each of those individual audiences, or if the personalization we're doing is falling short of the mark. And this is an indication, for example, that our healthcare industry is not doing as well as it could. We should probably go back and do some more A/B testing to figure out what's better messaging that we can use to generate lift for this audience. The last thing we're going to show for our campaign metrics is, again, a measure of overall campaign reach. So we can see for this experience that we're targeting 56% of our sessions with some sort of personalization. What that means is that we still have almost 50% of our visitors that aren't seeing any sort of personalization in this campaign. We might want to go back and add in some additional targeting so we can get our conversion rate ups for those conversions rates up for those visitors who aren't seeing any personalization, may not be served by one of these industries. So at every step of the way, the idea is to make better decisions by using data, and to make that data easy to synthesize by looking at these dashboards.
And that is the magic of conversion optimization. Traffic you're already getting, you're able to do more with them.
That's exactly right. So that's the scope of the demo here. I think that, again, whirlwind tour, but hopefully gives you a sense of the broad scope of capabilities and where you might want to get started with your client.
Great. Thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
Okay, so back to Lisa.
Sure. So just wanted to end by saying that if any of you on this call would like additional resources, demos, industry-specific case studies, I'd be more than happy to send that over to you guys, or please contact your point person at Disruptive. We both can get you what you need so that you can learn more about how to use optimization to enhance your business.
Okay, fantastic. Lisa, do you have the slide with our email addresses on it? There we go. Okay, so you can contact me, Andrea, at disruptiveadvertising.com, or lisa.Thulman@optimizely.com. And we are so happy to help you with this. Conversion optimization is exciting. It is so fun. You get to the point where you wake up every morning and you can't wait to look at your stats and see what tests are winning, and it drives everything. It changes everything when you start doing it with your business. Anything else to add to that?
That was great. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
All right, so thanks everyone for tuning in for this disruptive quick class today with Optimizely. Again, you can contact either of us and find out more about what services we offer and how we can help you with your business. And have a great day. Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Everyone.